Emma's Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe podcast.
Oh, goodness gracious. Hello and welcome to Emma's Universe. I hope you're doing well. I am just okay. I'm just dealing with my chair. I'm like, okay, isn't that going any lower than that? And obviously it doesn't. So got to deal with an interesting chairs. But this is not the topic of the day. No. In today's podcast, and it's a Monday, yippee-ki-yay, we're going to be talking about the art of sitting in between, navigating the void between endings and beginnings. One foot in, one foot out. That's about what we catch in between two worlds, actually. So we're gonna step into the space of most people rush to escape. This is so freaking true. Been there, done that. The in between two worlds, between two space, after the ending, but before the beginning. The space of not yet. The space of becoming. This is where true transformation lives. Not in a moment we say goodbye, have a nice day, I'm not coming back, I'm just slamming the door. No, not in a moment we say hello again, but in that tender, terrifying, beautiful void between the two. It's like being in, if you ever have taken the train and you're moving from one car to the other. You're in that between space when you shut the door, and then you're gonna step into that weird space and then open the other door. So maybe it was the old days. No, I think it's still the same for the train. Feels like I'm Emma from the 1800. Oh yeah, 1800. Welcome to the podcast. So we often speak of beginning and endings, but rarely do we pause to explore what lies between them. That space where something has ended, maybe a relationship, a job, a chapter of your identity, but nothing new has fully formed yet. And it's so irritating at some point, because you want to move on from one space to the other without stopping in between. Been there, done that. And so freaking uncomfortable too. And it's in that space that we feel unmoored. And because it's not productive, it's not clear, it's not celebrated, it's just a freaking space. But I want to tell you today that in between is not nothing, it's everything. It is the cocoon phase, the darkness before the rebirth, and while the world may push us to hurry, to move on, to figure it out, our soul knows that this space is where the real becoming happens. So if you're looking at season in our own life when everything I thought I knew fell away, and I talked a lot, and I reference this one a lot because I think this is one of the most significant one. I have done changes in my life, but the profound one was that 2023 welcome to hell. Emma. We're gonna take everything you've got, we're gonna put your world upside down. We open the gates of hell and welcome to the world. So this is where you really end things and really have to move on. But that void, that space is there. And that is where it can be unhinged if you're looking at it. Because when a relationship ended, or when a role you had dissolved, when your identity is stripped, this is you becoming bare. It's like you feel totally naked, and you can like, I remember I was sitting on the floor and I'm like, what the freak? And I had major melt freaking down at that point, because you don't know what is up, you don't know what is down, you know nothing, except you have to continue to push forward, not knowing what's next. And that is the space that can last longer than wanted, because most people say, well, I'm in between jobs, I lost my jobs, or I walked away from a job, and what's next? Okay, I'm going to apply for other jobs, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And as days, maybe months pass, you're in that void space where the new one is not there yet, and you want it now. So it is a time of reflection as well, to decide what do you want to do, because when this happens, it gives you an opportunity actually. Do you want to continue on the path where you are, or completely, and in my case, is basically letting go of the old and walk away from it, continue to heal and purge what is not necessary in my life, and in our lives actually, because when I'm saying I, it's we, it's everybody. And moving forward somewhere, you don't know where you're going, you don't have the map, you're in a complete zone where nothing is formed yet, then you're gonna have to continue to move forward, not knowing where you go, what you're gonna do, but just have faith that everything turns out as the way it's supposed to be, perfectly, in perfect synchronicity. Everything comes to me in perfect synchronicity. Oh, good Lord. Synchronicity. Everything unfold like it should be. It's perfect. So those are the phase where, again, the unknown has always been one of the scariest part that people do not like. I don't mind the unknown because it's becoming very interesting. You have to watch for your thoughts, actually. So one of the key is staying positive in the middle of the chaos, or the unknown, of the quietness, of the space of not knowing, which is like, oh boy, and continue to move forward one step at a time, 1 hour at a time. Not trying to plan an entire future, but what is my next steps, what I'm gonna do, and what am I saying in my head. Because one of the biggest key as well when you're looking at changes and that void, that space, is it's a freaking opportunity to do something new. It is where the universe is like, okay, are we moving forward? What do we got in our little purse? Then we're gonna, bring it up to the surface. So it's opportunity to let go of the past, to continue the healing part of it, because there is a lot of healing that's gonna happen. You're gonna have people who's gonna come and annoy you the life out of you for no freaking reason. So this is where you learn your lesson of resetting your boundaries, looking at your goals. I know bills have to be paid, but if you bring the fear in it, then you're not helping yourself. This is a sacred void, actually. So it's not only watch, but tell yourself, and I always said it, and I did it when I came here many decades ago, said all my bills are paid. I don't know how I did pay the freaking bills, even the math will not match, but the bills were always paid, no matter what. So it's always continue to stay positive, move forward, and really be curious. Curious to what do you want to do next? Because most of the things we have a tendency to say is, I need to pay the bills, I have a mortgage, I have a rent, I have this, I have that. And we go into that panic mode that basically close the door for solution for everything because we invite fears into our life. And this is not what we want. We don't want the fear in there. We want to make sure that yes, we have food on the table, yes, we're paying the bills, yes, we are living a life, but we're transforming. So letting go, not trying to go back to what doesn't serve us anymore, but moving forward in that space where you can reinvent yourself, you can become who you're meant to become. The same with a job. When contracts were done, and I got laid off from companies as well a few times. So I've been through contracts when ending, which is scaring people because when you do your own contracts, when you're somebody who has his own business and do contracts and stuff like that, people are like, well, you don't know what tomorrow will be. But I was like, I'm not worried because everything will come and it's supposed to come. You have a date when you sign the contract, you know when it should stop. Depends on what's going on in the world. Maybe they're going to extend, maybe they're going to shorten. That happens several times. That happened a few times with me. They shortened some of them because of what was going on. Remember COVID and everything. So the uncertainty that's adding it to the business is something you have to learn and be flexible with it, which most people are not because people imagine that having a permanent job is safe, which is not true. And in the era where we are right now, no, it's not, because you never know when a company is going to do a layoff and when you're going to be next on that little chair when they're going to eject you and say, have a nice day. But when this happened, I know it can be traumatic, do know that, but it gives the opportunity to decide what is my opportunity. One, I'm going to update my resume. Two, what do I want to do now? Do I want to stay? Let's say I'm an analyst. Well, do I want to move to a PM position or what industry? What do I want to do? That's where opportunity can open the doors in that sacred void to decide, do I want to stay where I'm at and continue on that same path? Or do I want to really go left, go right, do a 360? What do I want to do? That's the opportunity to really change and bring that new identity, that new job, that fulfillment. That's an opportunity, not, I would say, a punishment. Because people could assume, oh, it's always me, it's always me. No, you learn what you got to learn with a job. And it's time for you to move on. There is always a reason for things to happen. And you have to see it as an opportunity. Even if you feel like, oh boy, I've been there for 10 years and I'm being gone now, blah, blah, blah. No, it's an opportunity to do something different, for you to evolve, to move to the next level, because you have learned everything you have learned and it's time to move on. So during that process, it's taking care of ourselves, it's letting go, it's doing the, let go of the grief, of the fear, and see it as what no longer serves us. Because a lot of people who have lost their job, they have found a new one, not out of when you're not desperate, because again, if you bring the fear and desperation, then you're going to bring more chaos. But when you do it with peace in your heart, and you apply for the job, not to get a job, but look at what is more suitable for you. Because I can guarantee, and that was one thing that I had a conversation with someone a long time ago, and she was sending 100, 200, she was doing 100, 200 applications. She was sending them like every day, nonstop. But she was speaking up, and I done the same thing too, actually, on some of the contracts, just to see what would happen as a test. And things that did not resonate, you're never going to get a job. Focus on what resonates with you. I was strategic. There was a time of Corn Ferry, actually, when I love Corn Ferry. I love that company. It's like Thomson Reuters. It's some of those companies that are, I call it left field, because the way the mentality is completely different. You have to be self-starter. You have to be flexible. You have to have that mentality that not everybody has. of robots. You have to move out of the robots world, aka I follow what I'm being told, and really looking at what the company feels like, but also read the description and don't say, I'm going to apply because I'm going to apply because I'm going to apply. Because if it's the case, I can guarantee 99% nobody's going to respond to you because it doesn't suit and fit and feel right. So I say to that person, I remember that was Sue, my friend Sue, and I said, well, why don't you look, instead of doing this, why don't you look at what resonates with you? And there is some that are not going to resonate with you. Then just don't apply for it. Do the one that resonate with you, where you can feel, yeah, that's the job. That's what I did with Conferry, actually. It was very interesting. I was looking for the contract and I saw this one coming along. And I'm like, that sounded an interesting one. I said, oh, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. It took them like 2 months to get through the process, which was a very, very slow process to do. But it was very interesting because when you really take the time to look at what you want to do next, what interests you, and get there, then the door are going to open for you. Being that in that void space is to be comfortable with the unknown and in the uncomfortable space where you're not in control. It's time for you to relinquish some of your control. Try to dictate everything so you can feel better. Because people who control, who are micromanaging, they try to control everything because they cannot control anything, but they want to control everything else around them. For a sense of safety and false security that they can control everything and everything. No, it's like, no, it's never going to happen because trust me, you're always going to get kicked in a curb one way or the other by the universe when you do this. So you have to go with a flexible mind, not trying to control, which is hard, but being able to say, you know what, I'm going to go with the freaking flow. I'm going to go with the flow of the universe and see what's going to happen next. I'm going to let that space taught me something else because it will teach me something. That space can last longer than you want. As I said, mine 23 until I would said here over a year and a half. I would say at least a good year because it was at the end of 23 and clarity came at the beginning of 25 actually. 24 was the transition, the void space where I needed to finish to clean everything around me. And it wasn't pleasant at some moment. I got to deal with people that were unpleasant and setting up the boundaries, letting go with everything else, and really focusing on what do I want to do? What is my next step? And let go what no longer serves me at every level. So in our thoughts, in our views, we want this as a snap of a finger. Like, hey, yippee I'm changing, I'm ready to go. Yay, here we go. No, because we need to make sure in that void, in that space, you don't want to bring the garbage. It's like, and I always use that metaphor with you got your home and you buy a spanking brand new home ready to move in. Are you going to move the entire garbage that is in your current home to that home? And it was said, are you crazy, Emma? I don't want that garbage in. So it's the same with our life. When we're in that void, we need to let go and get rid of what doesn't serve us. Why should we carrying that mess with us? We don't. So that space will last as long as it's needed. But I learned that I was more than who I had been, which is so interesting. But I'm Gemini, so I have so many facets. But I've learned to peel those off, and I continue to do that. I just hadn't met the next version of me yet. And it was in this silence, in that suspension, that she began to take form. Because you can feel like you're being stopped. In that void, you're not moving forward yet. You're moving in that space, but you're not there yet in that new beginning. But you still need to continue to purge yourself. So it's very interesting when you go through the process. And again, it can take a month, it can take a year, it can take 2 years, it maybe take 3 years. It all depends at the speed we want to go and how much we're fighting that void space. But when you embrace it and really do quote unquote the work, do the process, go through the process, it is so enlightening at the end of the day, because you look back and you're like, okay, that's 1 year, that's interesting what I have done in 1 year. Where am I today compared to what I was 6 months ago, to a year ago, 2 years ago? And you will see the transformation. So if you're in that space right now, the pause, the void, I would invite you to stop forcing clarity. It's not gonna come, trust me. It's going to be extremely frustrating if you continue to force yourself. Let your next step arrive naturally, which is very hard when you want to control everything, when you think you're on the clock and you want to move forward. That's not going to happen. You're going to screw it up and dig yourself a hole that you're going to have to get out of it. So when you're done to have your temper tantrum and you're done to be frustrated, you will say, okay, I give up. You create small rituals. You can light a candle. You can journal your emotion, because you're going to go through emotion of frustration, not moving, not doing this. So you have to figure out, actually, it forces you to go back inward, not outward, or inward. And it forces you to go through and figure it out. What I have not done yet, then I cannot move forward. What am I missing? Or what am I ignoring? Like an ostrich, I put my head into the sand and I do not want to see. What's stopping me to move to the next step? And take walks without answers. Meaning, okay, I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to do something in nature, or I'm going to ride a motorcycle. I'm going to ride a bike. I can take a car ride, a bus ride. I'm going to distract myself and walk around just to ground myself. That will be helpful. And feel it all. I think one of the biggest things in the void, and this is what you have to do actually, you have to feel it all. The grief, the fear, the longing, they are not signs of failure. They are signs of transformation. And that's something people don't want to feel. I don't want those emotions. I don't want the meltdown. I don't want this. I don't want that. You don't have to do it on the front of people. You do it in your own time, in your own space. But you have to feel the grieving. And you grieve and you're doing it at your own pace. A lot of people want this to be done in 15 minutes. It's never going to be done in 15 minutes. Rest assured. But it has to be done at your own pace. Not everybody are doing it at the same time, at the same pace. That's not true. Some people will do it in 15 minutes. Some will take a few years. Some have to go through the process of the grieving, of letting go, of the inward work on their own time. And it's peeling, you have to understand, when you go to the void, it's peeling those layers one by one by one to make sure you are bare naked in that space, ready for your new beginnings. A new beginnings will not happen until you have done and completed the work. Understand that. So if you try to do a half-assed job, you're never going to go anywhere, because you still have a foot in the past and still trying to get one for the new beginning. So the battle should not be there, except quiet your mind, tell your ego, my ego, we're working inwards. We'll do it on our timing, not the ego's timing, no, not anyone else's timing. This is where you have to put set your boundaries so people understand to back off when you're doing this. Yes, I said back off. Emma said, back off. And do it on your own timing. As I said, I'm taking reference because for me, 2023 was welcome to hell, literally. But it was very interesting because at the end, before the fire, things were starting to restart. And then the fire came, and it's like, oh, seriously, universe, that a joke? But it brought me where I needed to be. Now, why did it took so long? Because the reconstruction of the condo was involved on that, because that was something, it's like a soap, seriously. Days of a Life mixed with General Hospital, with Falcon Crest, with Dallas, with any freaking soap you've got. This is what you got right there, and you're like, oh boy, what's new with this now? What is happening with the construction? Nothing went quite right at all. But he was going through the phases and making the right decision for me and the pups. But for me first, because the pups are part of me. So ensuring that the transformation, the let go, the healing, the inner work was done. Because you cannot have a fresh start, if you still have not dealt with everything. So again, it takes time to do it. And take it as a good sign to be in that space, in that void. See it as a good thing, because it shows you have completed a cycle, you have completed a job, you have completed a relationship, you have ended, it's done. Now, it's like working in a lab, and you have to go through the, what do you call it? I forgot the name of it. Oh, that's awesome. I forgot it. But you have to go through a space where you're being cleaned before you can go back to the real world. This is the same process here. You are done with this. Now you need to, I don't want to say purge, but purify yourself, quote unquote. I'm going to use it like that. And then you're ready to go. You don't want the garbage. You don't want the negative. You don't want that past to follow you. You need to purify yourself, quote unquote. But you are always at the right place at the right time. So you have to face what you don't want to face. You cannot ignore it, because you're going to stay in that void until you face it. And as I said, one problem at a time. And as you're making those decisions, as you're moving forward, you're going to start to move forward and you're going to see the changes. The in-between is not where you lose yourself. It's where you finally meet yourself. We always said you have to lose yourself to find yourself. And this is where you find yourself. This is where you meet yourself. So sit with it, honor it, trust it. You are not stuck. You're preparing. So thank you for listening today, this episode, and I hope it resonates with you. Share it with someone in their own in-between. Until next time, embrace the pause. There is magic in a waiting. All my love, guys, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.
Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe Podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe Podcast. Podcast.